So you had some early experiences in farming?
I grew up on a farm.
Did it have a name?
I grew up and worked for William Musker when I was 10.
William Musker was the guy who
Was the guy that owned the farm across from us,
Okay.
and he farmed our farm.
Do you remember the earliest years there on the farm?
Back in about 46, 47, I started working for him.
At the age of 10?
At the age of 10. I got 10 cents an hour.
How come you got that deal?
That was all he would pay with 10 cents. I finally got him up to a quarter, but then he never did pay me.
I guess what I'm saying is, what was his name again? Metzger?
Musgrove.
Musgrove, okay. So Musgrove came to you, or you came to Musgrove, and you knocked on his door and you said, please help me, I need to make 10 cents an hour. I mean, how did it really go, Don?
Well, he was farming our farm, and I just told him I'd work for him.
And did you know anybody else that worked on the farm at the time?
At the time, my brothers worked there, and as they were growing up too.
So through your brothers, you learned there was a position, or he would help, could help you?
We helped him because he was farming our farm, and we didn't have no equipment.
You went there with your brothers for a while before you started working there?
No, they were all going to other jobs by the time I started.
At the age of 10, tell me what that farm produced at the time.
You used to grow wheat, corn, and hay. We used to pick the hay up loose, take it up and put it in the barn, and we'd lead the horse down to pull the hay up into the barn with a horse, and then we'd go up and mow it. And then we cut the corn and brought the powder in. This time of year, we'd husk the corn till we get it all husked, and then we'd go and pick it up and bring it in and put it in the corn shed.
So you're staying there all season? You come in?
Every day after school, I used to go over and work.
So this was your after-school job?
After school, I'd work and work on Saturdays from daylight till dark.
All right, so so there's this product, the corn. What's his name again? Metzger? No, Musgrove. What did Musgrove do with the corn at that point?
We'd feed it to the horses and the pigs and chickens. We'd have to shell it for the chickens and give the horses, they'd eat right off the cob, same way the pigs. And then we grind it up for cow feed, some of it.
Who was taking care of the pigs?
We all took care of them.
So you kind of revolved around different responsibilities?
You do all kinds of things. You didn't have no certain job to do. You did whatever had to be done on the farm.
At the time of day? At
that time of day. Usually in the morning or in the evening, you have to go down, in summertime, you used to have to go down and get the cows. Because they was out in the meadow. In wintertime, we kept them in the barn.
You remember the count? How many cows?
He had about 42 cows. He had 2 horses. He usually raised about 6 pigs.
And so he supplied most of the feed to his animals from off of his own farm?
From off his own farm, most of all the feed. And in summertime, we used to thrash, and then we'd help the neighbors. Burgesses, we used to help them, and they'd come up and help us.
So on a typical day, we're going to now think about the tools that you used. On a typical day, what kind of tools did you use?
We used fork, shovels, and that was about it. Drive a tractor now and then.
You?
Yeah.
How long did this go then, from 10 years to?
Until I was about 14 or 15.
So you did get a chance to learn how to drive a tractor.
Yeah. And spring of the year, you used to work the field until dark, and sometimes until 11, 12 o'clock at night, get it ready to plant the next morning.
What years was this?
About 48.
So there were lights on the tractor.
Mm-hmm.
Besides Metzer? Musgrove. Okay, that thing. Besides Musgrove and you, who else was on the farm, working the farm?
Nobody else. Just the two of us. Now and then his wife would come out and drive the tractor. We were picking up hay.
Do you think of him as more of a mentor to you? How would you describe your relationship with Musgrove?
He was just the person that we knew and knew him real well and worked for him. And he'd cut the hay on our farm and he'd take it over and he'd use it too. Because all we had was some pigs and rabbits and chickens.
On the family farm?
On our farm.
You were walking distance?
I walked, and then when I finally got a bike, didn't have no chain, I'd push it to work and then push it and ride home. Because it was downhill.
Which way? Going to or coming?
Coming from.
Well, that's good. You got a little relief after working hard. You didn't have to pedal it.
Right.
So, I want you to, now, you know, different times of the year you do different things, but let's just talk about spring. Tell me a 10-year-old to 14-year-old farmhand's typical day, what you did. Start from the beginning of the day.
Well, first thing in the morning, you go up about dark and go out and get the cows and bring them in. And then you have to clean the barns out. Once you got the barns cleaned out, you'd up and go home and eat breakfast and then go back and start plowing or working the fields. If we were going to get hay in, we'd start working on the hay field, raking it up and all. And then finally in the later years we went to baling, but till we went to baling, his wife used to come out and drive a tractor and he would work the loader and I worked the front part of the wagon, loading the hay. And then we'd take it up and I'd go up in the barn. His wife would lead the horse out, pulling the hay up in the barn, and I'd have to level it off on top of the barn. It was real hot up there in the summertime.
His hay baler was his, or did he barter with other farmers?
He used his own stuff.
Okay. Did he barter any equipment? You know, trade off, I'll help you, you help me?
Now and then he borrowed stuff from his brother. And they'd land back and forth. His brother had a farm about 5 miles away.
And the combine?
I've never worked there when the combine. That was after I left.
What did they do before the combine when you were there? How did they get it?
Cut it with a binder and shock it, and then they'd come out with a thrash machine, and we'd thrash it.
So you helped with that every fall?
I would shock the wheat or the barley, whichever we had, and then when loaded, I would help load it on the wagons.
Very cool, very cool. So, let me make sure we didn't forget anything about his farm right there. So, okay, so here comes the end of the day, the work day, that means during the work week. You had homework to do?
Yeah. I go home and do my homework, and then about 8, 9 o'clock at night, before I could get my homework done. Sometimes it's 10 o'clock before I got my homework done if I did it. Sometimes I just didn't do it.
Okay. Not too personal, but how were your grades in school?
Usually C's and D's.
So, Now we're at the weekend, and being 10 and young, you've got to have some fun in your life. What kind of things did you like to do when you had the time for fun?
Didn't have much time to do anything much. Most of work, and then that was about it.
Did you have best friends?
No, I didn't have nobody around other than the birds. Just go down there and play football.
With who?
On a Sunday with the Burgess boys.
Neighbors?
They were neighbors.
Football?
Football.
Touch or tackle?
Tackle.
No padding, huh?
No padding, no nothing, just regular.
Just beat the heck out of each other.
And usually played it in the meadow.
High grass or little short grass?
Usually short grass, but usually had to watch out for the cow flopped.
It's good. Did you have a favorite position on the team? Were you the quarterback or were you a receiver?
No, we just mostly just run the ball. We didn't do much passing.
Just a lot of tackle.
Run and tackle.
That's cool. So, on the farm, Sundays come around, and I have a feeling your parents have, now this is at your house, not the farm with your other guy. What was a typical Sunday like for you?
Usually grandparents come over and had a big meal, and that was about it. And then if we went out and out law, we went over to the neighbors and played with them.
Did you ever share some of your farming experiences with your grandparents? Did they ever ask you, interested in what you were doing?
No,
So,
because they all grew up working on the farm. My grandfather had a thrash machine and all. He used to go around thrashing.
so pre-10 for you, you saw your grandparents' farm?
No, he got mad and left us sitting in the field and went to work for a donut company.
He left the farm?
He used to just go around to different farms, thrash. He left the thrash machine, the baler, and everything, steam engine, and all set at somebody's farm. Just left it there and went to work for a donut company.
Okay.
He had it.
But you did get a chance when you were younger, prior to being 10, to watch some of his farming?
No, I always worked on it, never watched it.
You worked on it?
Always just had to work, yeah.
You worked on your grandfather's farm?
No, they didn't have a farm.
Who was the other farms that you got to be on before going to work to get your actual job?
One I grew up on,
The family?
the family farm, yeah.
Oh, what were your dad and mom's first names?
It was Linton's grandfather. Originally, they owned the farm I grew up on, and it was right across the street from William Musgrove.
So, I'm going to look at my questions in a minute, Donald, okay? Oh, here's an easy one, but where did you get the water from Musgrove's farm?
He had a well, and mostly, and then we had to, down the meadow, they had the stream for the cows to drink out of.
That's good, that's good. And on the farm, Musgrove's, not your family's, where would he get his food supplies?
He bought southern states mostly.
Food or supplies for the farm?
Supplies for the farm, and they grow their own. He always had a garden.
So a lot of their food came from their own growing on the garden.
Yeah.
So where did you go as a family yourself to get food?
We had a garden, big garden.
Well, that didn't help you when it came to meat, because in the vegetable field, you don't grow a lot of meat. Where did you get your meat?
Meat, we usually got that down to Acme down in Elk City. That was the closest food store back then.
Interesting. Oh, let's talk about the acreage. Tell me about both farms, your family's and Musgrove's.
You know, I guess they had about, altogether, both of them, a little over 100 acres.
Can you separate them?
Well, we had about 50, and I think he had 50 or 55.
Okay. Any unusual occurrences with weather while you were farming?
Well, the weather, if it rained, you had to work anyway. You didn't, the cows had to be fed or milked.
Any serious storms or heavy snows you experienced?
Well, if it snowed real hard, we just took the tractor and run up and down and made paths, walk around on. We didn't have no plows or anything back then.
So you used the wheel to manage?
Wheels of the tractor to make paths. And if it was real deep, we just didn't go out.
So while Musgrove and you spent those 4 years or close to 4 years, did you ever see him upgrade any of his equipment?
He started out with horses, and then he finally went up to a tractor. And there at the end, he just had the one tractor. He used to borrow a horse from a neighbor.
What was the horse's name?
I don't know what the horse's name was. I used to go get it and take it back home.
To your house?
No, neighbor behind me.
So when you started out with field work, you were working with a horse?
A little bit.
But you know that Musgrove did a lot of horse work.
At first, yes. We used to hook them to the wagon and throw the corn on the wagon and have to shovel it off.
So you were pretty good with horses?
They were right good size.
Workhorse?
Well, we used to call them old workhorses.
You're right, you could handle them okay?
Yeah, well, I didn't handle them too much. I mostly just did the other work. Maybe feed them.
Groom them?
No.
So, I think we covered that, okay. So you had a farm with your dad, but while you were at Musgrove's farm, which is most of the day, who was helping your dad?
My younger brother,
And his name?
Darrell.
Darrell.
My father used to work at a donut company. So he didn't do any farming at all other than the pigs and rabbits.
Did Darrell continue while he changed jobs?
Yeah, he went to work for William Musgrove when I quit.
Darrell did.
Yep.
Oh, he followed you up. Interesting. So let's figure out where Donald went when Donald quit the Musgrove farm.
I went to work for Frank's Garage.
Frank's Garage. I don't know if that was the best choice. Did you, I'm not going to get too far down the line away from farming, but did you like cars and machinery at that point in your life?
No, I worked on cars, we worked on farm equipment and all there. Anything that needed to be repaired, we repair.
So who taught you then?
Mr. Frank?
What's that?
Yeah, Junior Frank. Ed Frank, Junior.
So, can you give me a list of the equipment that you were working on, as much as you remember the different kinds of farm equipment then?
We used to work on combines, we used to work on balers, rakes, hay loaders, anything that needed to be repaired, we either welded or repaired or...
So your time, I mean, sort of that was like what I would call an apprentice type situation, where you apprentice to you know, Frank, whichever Frank that was.
Yeah.
And so at that point in time, did you happen to get a chance, do you remember the chance that when he allowed you to work on things on your own?
Yeah, I gradually worked my way up. and work on it. And sometimes when they'd go on vacation, I keep the garage open.
Was there something you like to specialize in?
Well, I worked there, and then I went from there to the body shop and did body work for a while.
Well, let's go back to Frank's for a second. Because you described various farm machinery that you worked on. Was there anyone that, like, did you become a specialist on combines, for instance, or a hay baler? Or
Nothing special. We work on everything. Tractors if they needed working on, or if it broke, a baler broke down out in the field, we go out and work on it. Whatever broke down, we went out and worked on. Nothing special.
Okay, a lot of mechanic people become specialists.
Yeah, this was a very wide range of stuff that Frank's garage worked on. So it could be changing a tractor tire and rebuilding an engine and putting brakes on a car and putting a water pump on a combine, and all in the same day.
Right, and then sometimes we work on tractor and trailers, putting clutches on tractor and trailers, bulldozers. Whatever people had to work on, we worked on it.
Wasn't many garages around out here. That's correct.
Very interesting. Let's help me figure out when you were born again. What year?
36.
Some houses still didn't have electricity in 36.
We didn't have electric until I was about almost 8.
What can you remember about how you lived then? What was it like?
Well, you had to get up, it was cold, had to start the fire to get warm, and then lights, you had the little kerosene lamps. You had to set up real close to it so you could read or do your homework.
And how did the transition to electricity affect you at that time?
Well, once we got electric, then you turn the switch on, you could see something. You could see real good then.
This was at your dad's.
Yeah.
So did he want electricity? Do you know how his, what his opinion about it was?
I don't remember a whole lot about it other than when it finally come through, we got it.
Do you remember how, on your farm, meaning your home farm, what did your mom do on the farm?
She mostly did the canning. We killed chickens, she'd take care of cutting them up and all.
And she might have helped with some meals?
No, she didn't do help with none of the work.
No, I meant meals, food meals.
And she made all the meals.
Did you get a chance to learn any cooking yourself?
No, I didn't do any cooking or anything myself. I mostly ate applesauce.
With applesauce in here. Now, how about when did plumbing come in, door plumbing?
That was I was about 12 when we finally got indoor plumbing. Used to have to go and pump it, hand pump, get water carried in the house. When we take a bath, you had to carry it in there and warm some up, and take a bath in the tub. When we finally got the bathroom put in, they added 2 more rooms onto the house. Made a kitchen downstairs and the bathroom upstairs.
So when you were growing up on your dad's farm, we talked about a little bit about Sunday, but so here's you and your dad and your mom and your brother. What did you guys do as a family together when it came to just relaxing and you weren't busy doing farming stuff? Do you remember any of the kind of activities your dad said, well, look, we're all going to go here or something like that?
Usually all we had to carry wood, either had wood to carry in or split wood, or and now and then he'd go hunting. I never went hunting with him.
What did he like to hunt for?
He used to go rabbit hunting and then squirrel hunting.
Would you eat that? No?
I didn't, they did.
That's where the applesauce came in.
He's got a favorite. He's got his favorite. Okay. Was that applesauce with cinnamon on top or just plain applesauce?
Some of it, sometimes we put cinnamon on it. Take bread up and put applesauce over it and put milk on it. Make a meal of it.
Any other ways to fix applesauce?
No, that's by that way or just by itself.
That's cool. So after Frank's, you went to,
I went to Huffman and Green's in Baltimore, body shop.
for all vehicles or just cars or cars?
Mostly Chrysler products.
That was a dealership?
It was a dealership, but it worked on all kinds of cars. And had an elevator had to take cars up and back in the 50s when they come out with the 57s. We had to take the bumpers off to get them on the elevator, and then you go up in it foot, and then you have to back it up, go up another foot and pull it forward to get it up from the first floor to the second floor.
Car was too long. Right. Now you've got all this farming experience, Donald, okay? Even though you got over there to Huff, did you ever apply farming to your own life? You know what I'm talking about?
No, other than when I got married, I used to do my own garden, that was all.
Okay, that's fair. And you had some equipment for that? Did you have your own plow? Did you have tiller or?
Had a tiller, finally bought a tiller. I used to get somebody to come in and plow it, and then I'd work it up by hand.
So that related to your early farming life in terms of learning
Yeah.
the skills.
I also worked with the thrashing team.
Well, let's talk about the thrashing team. Your experiences with the thrashing team. Just what was the thrashing team first?
No, I used to work, Mr. Frank, he used to go around to different farms, and I'd tie the bales. I sat behind the thrash machine and tie bales as it went.
So, we're still rolling. I wanted to hear more about that thrashing team, okay?
Well, he used to pick me up at the house at around 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning, and bring me home about 5. We'd go up and thrash. When we get there,
What was your responsibility on the thrashing team?
grease it. I used to have to grease the thrasher and baler, and then cover it up at nighttime, uncover it in the morning, and then tie bales all day.
Big piece of equipment, isn't it?
It was fun. Got a little dirty. And then we used to go from farm to farm. The tractor would only go about 23 miles an hour. Sometimes I'd get out and walk alongside of it and get the governor so it could go a little faster. And then whenever we get to a crossroad, I'd have to get off with a flag the cars down while we went through, and then I'd run and catch up and get back on the tractor.
What era was this? What time period are we talking about?
We did it up until 1952 was the last year we thrashed.
And at one point there was, can you tell me like the maximum amount of farms you would go to?
Usually about 12 to 15 farms. Sometimes we go 2 farms in one day. And other times we'd take us all day to farm, and day and a half to do one farm, and then we go to the next farm. And we might start that evening, depending what time we got there.
So during the rotting process, where were you during the rotting process? While this machine, this system, this 3 pieces are operating, where are you?
I usually rode on the tractor with them, and then I'd get off for the intersections and all.
And when you were on the field, where were you? When it was on the field thrashing, where were you?
I was back at the baler, tying wires.
And you were helping tie?
I used to tie the wires of the bales all the time.
You know, it was a stationary baler, and you had to secure the bales with wire. You used twine like what balers use nowadays, so they were hand tied with wire.
But they were packed.
Yeah,
Reset.
you actually compressed the loose hay or straw into a bale by pushing it into a chamber. That's what the baler did. And as it made its way down the chamber, when it got to the length where you wanted it to be,
You
put
drop a block.
in there, and then these blocks were designed to allow wires to pass through, and that's how you wired. Once it got compressed in the rectangular cubicle, configuration, then you could go ahead and wire it off.
Could wiring be dangerous, doing that wiring?
Now you gotta watch what you're doing, because you cut your hands and all, the ends of them, when you spin it around. Or if you get a bag and get one too long, you have to cut a piece and put an extra piece in it.
So you were on what are we going to call this whole thing? The thrashing team?
It was a thrashing rig that went around.
Right, but I mean, it's a team of people that make it. It can't happen with one person.
There was 3 of us.
Well, you had the regular people, of which Donald was one of them, Frank's. And then each farm, you had the farm family members and neighbors would come and they would help each other. So you may have 12 or 15 people at this farm. Then when you went to the next farm, you would have some of those same people because they were neighbors or family members. And then you would have other people that would come in and help.
Sometimes you'd had certain people would go along with it. We used to have one colored guy, he'd all the time do the grain. Bag the grain. He used to like to do that, and he used to go from one farm to the other.
Did you get to drive sometime?
No.
Who was the main driver?
Ed Frank.
That would have been senior.
Your
Grandfather. My grandfather.
Your grandfather. Call that also. That was the original thing.
He was the original first Ed, yeah.
So, I want you to describe to me now that you talked a bit about it in scattered ways, what a typical thrashing day was like for you experiencing it. When did you start from the start up top there?
We started he picked me up at the house about 6:30 in the morning, just starting to get daylight. I'd get on back to pick up, ride up, and once we got there, I'd gas the tractor up. Usually took about 23, 24 gallons of gas. And then I'd uncover the thrasher, and we greased the thrasher and baler, so we'd be ready to start at 8 o'clock, so we could start baling and thrashing. And then at noon, we used to gas the tractor up again, and then when we quit at 4 o'clock, I'd have to help cover the thrash baler up, the thrash machine. We left the baler open.
So that was your typical day, and you did that for a while. How long did you?
Usually do that from started in July and go all the way to August. And one time we did in November, we baled some soybeans for a guy. That was rough because we was in a barn bale, and you'd have to run in the field, find the baler so you could try and tie a bale, and then run back outside to get air because you couldn't breathe. It was so dusty.
Yeah. Wow.
No, and what would happen, the early farmers, you would get to them while the crops were still in the field, as long as the weather was good, but as you got later, the crops couldn't sit in the field for weeks and weeks, so they'd actually have to take the crops in, wheat, barley, oats, soybeans, take them in and put them in barns. And then
that's to protect them from the water.
That's correct, so they stay dry. And then later in the season, when you finished all of the work on the fields, for those that you got to first, then you didn't end up thrashing for the latter people out of their barracks and barns and stuff. That's where Don was just explaining with the soybeans put up in November.
That's a lot to learn and a lot to do for a typical day. When did you get home usually?
Usually get home about 5 o'clock, at 4:30, 5 o'clock every evening.
And that's pretty close to dark, huh?
It's almost dark then.
Did you work on weekends?
Every day except Sunday.
Sunday was the day of rest. That is very interesting, that experience and time period. Did you manage to stay with farming after that period with the Franks?
A little bit. I used to go up and help my father-in-law after I got married. I'd go up and help him bale hay or whatever.
Was he growing other stuff?
No, he used to grow wheat and barley, corn.
Was he growing any animals?
Here he had pigs and cows and had a mule.
Okay. So you've been around farming a long time, it sounds like, Donald.
Yeah, that was good life.
It is a good life.
It's rough, but it was good. That's the reason people didn't get in trouble back then, because you didn't have time to get in mischief.
I like that point of view. Anything else come to mind?
Then we used to thrash or butcher usually 1st of December when it got cold. Used to help my father butcher. He used to butcher 6 pigs. Butcher one day, cut up the next day.
Right on the farm.
Right on the farm, yeah. They used to hook the sausage grinder to the wheel of the car and let the car turn the sausage grinder, and all you had to do was just feed it in and then have to turn it.
So all through this time period, you were closest to your family, but did you develop at any point in time friends that you went to visit? And were they also farmers, those friends, or they were friends for other reasons?
Just farmer friends, that's all.
Well, name one of your farmer friends' names.
Donald and Allen Bandles, and then Ramus and Tony and Burgess. They were the only ones around.
So they became your long life friends during that time period?
Right, still are.
And still are. Very good, very good. So if you had to do it all over again, would you be a farmer?
If I had to grow back up that way, I'd like to grow back up that way again.
Good to know. Anything else come to mind that you remember? Certain experience or something?
Nothing else I know. We're doing a lot of it here on the farm, here at the museum.
Do you help here?
I try to help as much as I can.
How long have you been a member?
I've been one of the original.
20 years.
20, okay.
I usually take care of shelling the corn. I show the kids how to shell by hand, and I let them use these corn shellers. And then we let them grind it. They like to do that, and they like to shell it by hand.
And over the past 20 years, and of the Antique Farm Machinery Club, and of course the last 10 years of that, having the museum open, Donald's been one of the main participants of the whole organization. He's been on the board of directors several terms. He's participated in all of the festivals and programs and demonstrations, and he normally does with the school demonstrations, the corn shelling part of it, but he's actively participated in everything from thrashing demonstrations, rock crushing, baling, straw and hay, and everything from plowing fields. And so he's kind of a jack of all trades.
That's great. Absolutely great. Well, thanks for sharing these experiences on the farm. Is there anything else you might want to add to it?
The younger ones up needs to learn a little bit of what farm was like when we were growing up. I mean, we can be without electric, it don't bother us, but Because we never had electric when we first started growing up, so now if I had electric, it don't bother me.
Did you ever get caught in a storm? Did you ever think to yourself, oh, this is dangerous, I shouldn't be here? Did you ever have any of those kind of experiences where you're like, uh-oh, this could be a problem, or this could be an accident coming ahead?
Well, we have got caught out in the field a couple times and hurried up and got in the barn.
No catastrophes or accidents
No accidents I know of
for yourself?
for myself.
I like that. I like that, Tom. You've had a good long run here on your history. We appreciate you sharing this with us too.
And Ron had time in the military, and he also had time in the local fire department, so he's a pretty well-rounded guy here in the neighborhood.
I was in the fire department for 59 years, volunteer, and then I was in the Army for 8 years, reserves,
So in what period?
up until the Korean War broke out. I got out just as the Korean War broke out.
So you never went off to any?
Never went off in the war, I just was in the reserves.
Oh, yes, Army Reserves.
Used to go summer camp 2 weeks a year,
Down to,
and then down to Fort Lee, Virginia, where Camp Pickett. And a couple times we went to down, not Fort Meade, but down in Virginia, the one that's under Fort Meade,
I'm not sure.
AP Hill.
Oh, okay, yes. Nothing's coming?
No, I think we're good.
I think we're good.
Appreciate you
That's
sharing
good.
all that with us.